And welcome back. This is your man Warrior. This is another patron roster review. This is Dethlox from First Order Phoenix Rising. Dethlox has asked me to work on his arena team, the Rancor solo team. He's got a good Rancor solo team. He just wants to know if there's any substitutions he should do. His next Zeta. And then at the last minute, he mentioned he wanted me to go over his heroic AAT. So I'm redoing his video because he's obviously paying a service to have me take a look at his roster. And I want to make sure that I cover everything that it is that he wants me to cover. So I scratched his old video and I'm going to go ahead and start over. He is mostly, almost completely, utterly free to play. He spent, I think, like $10. I know people can say, oh, it doesn't make him free to play, but essentially it does because he's not investing money into the game other than a one-time small one-off. So other than that, he's essentially free to play. He's been playing for a little over 8 months and he's doing really pretty well for himself. In Arena, the first thing I notice in his team is that he needs speed to get into that top 100. The only way to speed up this kind of a team, if you don't have the mods, is Sith Assassin. I tell people this all the time, but Sith Assassin is the difference between a good Sith team and a great Sith team. So you definitely want Darth Vader to be the lead, and then you're going to want Sith Assassin in here, and then I would bring in Darth Nihilus because he's amazing. And then I know this is kind of crazy, but I would suggest using your Boba Fett, which you have, and then none other than Stormtrooper Han. Now, this is something a lot of people don't think about because they're like, well, Stormtrooper Han is a rebel and this is a Sith team with a scoundrel, but he can speed your team up as well. So think about it. Sith Assassin speeding your team up, Stormtrooper Han speeding your team up, Stormtrooper Han being a tank, and every time he gets hit, it gives more turn meter to the team. This speeds your Darth Vader up drastically. It also speeds your Sith Assassin up drastically, which then help the Sith Assassin speed the team up again. It's a really crazy perpetual cycle. A lot of people, I've actually never seen a team with Stormtrooper Han with Sith, but it is a really, really good idea. It makes for a ridiculously speedy arena team, and that's really what you're missing. So my recommendation, your Darth Vader lead, Sith Assassin, Darth Nihilus, Boba Fett, and Stormtrooper Han. Now looking at your Darth Nihilus, we see he's down here at 4 stars, gear 8. You're going to have to get him up higher than that if you're going to use him in Arena. At gear 8, he's borderline viable. You really want to get him to gear 9 and then eventually to gear 10. But in the top 100, you could probably get away with the gear 9 Darth Nihilus just because he's so tanky and he brings so much utility to the game, so much ability to increase cooldowns and dispel on basic and then annihilate, kill anyone you're having trouble with. I mean, it's so crazy. It's going to really change your game. Now, I know you're thinking in your arena team, these characters you're suggesting are subpar in my lineup. I don't have Sith Assassin well. I don't have Darth Nihilus well. I don't have Stormtrooper Han as high as I probably should. Yeah, that's true, but it wouldn't take much to get these 3 characters leveled up in the next month, and it would give you a new team that is really, really powerful that you could use for Arena, okay? So the second is you were talking about the Rancor solo team, and you wanted to know how you should fix it. You use currently for Rancor Darth Vader, Jyn Erso, TIE Fighter Pilot Rex, and Sidious. I'm going to tell you to use the exact same team, except I'm going to tell you to make one exception. Take Rex out of this team. You've got Darth Vader lead, Jyn Erso, TIE Fighter Pilot, Rex, and Sidious. Rex does do turn meter reduction, right, at 25%, and as long as his potency's up, this happens pretty much 100% of the time, with the exception of the off 15% of the time that the RNG has hard programmed in. But essentially, he's going to get your 25% taken away. 25%'s fine, but it's nothing compared to Biston, where Biston has gunner tactics where it deals damage and ruse turn meter equal to his potency. Okay, this is awesome because he already has amped up, which he gains potency for each rebel ally and each debuffed enemy. So you debuff the enemy and you have Jyn Erso on your team and you're already getting amped up on potency. So it makes it easier for potency. You're going to put potency on this bad boy for turn meter reduction, but with his special and adding potency mods on him, this guy easily can remove 100% turn meter, which is far better than Rex's 25% turn meter, and this has the same likelihood of turn meter reduction at 100% minus the plus or minus 15% variant for RNG. So I would definitely recommend finishing Biston off. He's 6 stars. Get him to 7 stars. He's an easy farm. Get Biston, gear him up, and replace your Rex, and you are going to find that your Rancor solo team takes on a significantly better more viable option. Now, with Rancor, the way you're going to use this is the Jin Urso and Biston. What you're going to want to do is your Frenzy, which is going to give, anytime someone, another ally uses a special ability, he gets 100% turn meter. And so every time one of your characters uses a special, he's going to get an extra turn. That extra turn is key. This is why. When Jin Urso does her special to do turn meter reduction, you know, on occasion she misses, or it's resisted or deflected or whatever the game's RNG tries to screw you. If Jin Urso misses on her turn meter, because Biston's Frenzy's up, he'll automatically get an extra turn. And as long as you haven't used his turn meter reduction, he'll get an instant attempt at taking all of the turn meter away. So this is your opportunity to ensure that you never miss the turn meter reduction on the Rancor and end up getting smashed by the Rancor's fists. So Biston and Jin are amazing together. Jin Urso, like I said, you put Biston's Frenzy up, and then Jin Urso does her turn meter reduction when she needs to. If and when the RNG screws you and she doesn't land that, he's going to get his turn instantly afterwards before the Rancor goes, even if it was at full turn meter, and then he gets to shoot his gunner's tactics, and he's going to reduce that turn meter. The RNG almost always will not screw you twice in a row. It does happen on occasion, but it's super rare, much rarer than the one-off chance. Way more usability with this combo or this pair for a solo team for Rancor, way more functional use than the existing Rex that you have. So that's my suggestion. Biston is your key really to taking that Rancor solo team to the next level. As far as the next Zeta, you already have Darth Vader, Barriss Offee, and Qui-Gon Jinn. Of all the characters that I looked at, really the only character that stood out to me is if you can gear him up and put him into your arena team and take my advice for Darth Nihilus, you could Zeta Darth Nihilus's unique wound in the Force. It will take your arena team to the next level, making him more usable and more viable in arena. And so if you were really chomping at the bit to put a Zeta on a character, this would be the one I would suggest once you have him to at least gear 9, and preferably get him up to gear 10. I would make Darth Nihilus truly your #1 priority in all characters. Even though you're free to play and it's going to take a while, I would definitely make him like your #1. This is the guy I got to get leveled up. You'll see a huge difference in your arena team, and it'll get you more crystals, which in turn will make it easier for farming down the road. So that's the idea. The other thought would be to literally just save your Zetas. I know people that have them want to use them, but if you have them and you use them on characters, and then, you know, another character comes out that you really like better, or that they rework an old character that you really like better, then you're stuck having to farm them up. There's no problem with just holding on to Zetas and waiting. I've got many people in my guild that have 60 or more Zeta pieces because they just can't make up their mind, and they're doing fine in the game. And so the same is true with you. You're going to do just fine. And lastly, let's go over the Heroic AAT. For the Heroic AAT, because you're basically free to play, I'm going to suggest the basic free to play teams, and that is going to be Jedi for the win on this. You've got the top 5, which is what I'd recommend, except I would probably take Barriss Offee out and put Ahsoka Tano in if you can survive. If you can't survive all 15 rounds, then I would put Barriss Offee back in. But if you can get through all 15 without her, I would definitely put Ahsoka in. She does more damage, and that's kind of the name of the game for this. For Phase 2, I would actually go a Sith team. I recommend this a lot when your droids aren't as good as they should be. When you've got a droid Jawa team that sucks, and yours isn't that good, I would definitely recommend Sith. You've definitely spent more time on your Sith. Put in Darth Vader lead, because you already have him Zeta. That'll work well. Darth Sidious pairs really well with him. And then to round it off, I actually recommend throwing in some scoundrels like Boba Fett, IG-88, and you could even use Cad Bane, but these characters like Boba Fett and IG-88 have AoEs, they do high damage, and they pair really well under Darth Vader. So it would be a kind of a, you know, Darth Vader Sith team / scoundrel team for Phase 2. You could also make multiple teams up, you know, put your droids and Jawas together and make a team like that, but this team seems more viable. For Phase 3, I would recommend Emperor Palpatine lead with TIE Fighter pilot underneath him. So that's, you know, I think they call it TIE-Patine is the nickname for it. But that Emperor Palpatine will let your TIE Fighter go off a ton, which will really help his damage output. You can also add Tebow into this team and then put in a couple of characters like Royal Guard and Stormtrooper Han. Now, the problem with that, you're running into Dethlox is, since you're free to play, you really don't have very many tanks. This is kind of your Achilles heel. All your tanks look not so good. You got Stormtrooper Han, I'll give you credit on that. That's a hard tank, and you definitely have him for phase 3, so that's good. But you're going to need at least another tank like Royal Guard, and so you're going to have to finish farming Royal Guard up to 7 stars and get him up to gear 10. And there's a lot of work there, really. 5 more pieces for free to play at gear 9 is tough, especially when there's all these other characters like Darth Nihilus that you're trying to focus on. But you need to do this if you're really going to want. In the meantime, you could use 5s in place of Royal Guard, so you get that speed down and you get a tanky character to come in and you can participate at least. So your phase 3 team is almost ready. And of course, for phase 4, I'd recommend Rebels. You're going to use probably none other than Jyn Erso, Biggs, Wedge, Lando, and Princess Leia. I would recommend a Wedge lead, then Biggs, Lando, Princess Leia, and Jyn Erso. Excellent team. You're going to do decent in phase 4, but if you really want to put in a lot of damage output, you're going to have to continue to develop these characters past gear 8 and gear 9, as is everything. So if Heroic AAT is getting to your point where you're really starting to focus, and you told me you're evolving into this in your team, you're getting to this point now with the team you're in that you're really going to start focusing on Heroic AAT, everything else may need to take a back seat, but take the tweak on the Rancor. Biston's one character, and he's going to take your Rancor to the next level. Also, you can use Biston in that Phase 4 Rebels team, and then you're going to have to start working on these heroic characters. As far as Arena, the two characters I'd highly recommend you focus on is Sith Assassin and Darth Nihilus. So top 3 characters for you, since you're free to play: Biston, Sith Assassin, Darth Nihilus. And then keep your Zetas or use them on Darth Nihilus' unique, and then work on these Heroic AAT teams, and you should be good to go. So what's everyone's thoughts? How's Dethlox doing? I mean, pretty amazing, in the top almost 100 in both ships and Arena, and almost completely and utterly free to play. Pretty awesome. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe my videos. And if you'd like a roster review of your own, or just more access to me on Discord, or just even to support the channel, make sure you check out the description for more information. Keep your gaming on. Warrior out.